What's up, podcast community? Cam King here, Three Questions Podcast. This is episode number 71. I'm going to rifle this one off pretty quick. Obviously, Three Questions Podcast, if you're just listening for the first time, is three questions that all take 5 minutes to answer. Each one, I'll give you my spin. I started this podcast as a way to communicate different things for my clients from CK Collective. You can find that website at ckcollective.co. And that's mostly for growing entrepreneurs, growing for people with businesses. If you want to shore up the mental game, the physical game, the nutrition game, I will teach you how to be better in those aspects and help you make more money and experience less stress. So without further ado, the three questions we're going to tackle today are: number one, if you could meet anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why? Number two, what is your biggest accomplishment? Number three, if you could do any job in the world and money doesn't matter, what would it be? Really good questions. These questions were submitted anonymously, so I really appreciate whoever did send these in. And if you want to submit questions, you can go to ckcollective.co and find the podcast tab, submit them there, or you can just DM me your questions or text me as well. So without further ado, I'll start the clock and go with question number one. If you can meet anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why? First person that comes to mind, I think today, it would be Nikola Tesla. And I think that he was obviously a very famous inventor, did all these crazy scientific things. He was proving that electricity can be transported wirelessly. And if you've ever seen The Prestige, you'll know that Nikola Tesla was in that. And his character was focused on doing all sorts of things, which were eventually constructed into a magic trick. I won't spoil the movie, but his inventions and his theories, I think he was really onto something that pertained to a sort of ancient knowledge of things that he necessarily didn't invent, but I think that he essentially rediscovered and was repurposing into modern society. And I think that he was very knowledgeable about physics in the world and the buried history of the world. I think the late 1800s and the early 1900s, especially the first 20, 25 years, were a fascinating time in human history, because I think that we really went from a pre-industrialized society to a very industrialized society in a short amount of time. Obviously, World War I was a big precursor to that, but I think the breeds of technology that were invented around that time, mostly to kill other people or to amalgamize power to a certain number of people. Taxes were reinstituted into the US Constitution at that time. And there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world. And I think that Tesla had an esoteric knowledge that he eventually was killed for. And I think a lot of his work was buried. And I think that if I could meet with him, not that I want to learn or repurpose his secrets, but I would simply love to know what they would be in a one-on-one conversation that I would never tell anyone else. I would love to know his theories about what he prophetized for the future and the past, and what drove him to these conclusions. I'd love to learn more about his journey, because there's really not that much out there about him. A lot of that has been suppressed or altered in a lot of ways, at least from what I've seen. So he's a very interesting figure that I would love to learn a little bit more about, and was the first person that came to mind when answering this question. So don't know much more than that. Nikola Tesla is someone that I would love to meet and have a conversation with. Question number two here. What is my biggest accomplishment? Ooh, that's tough. I don't like to toot my own horn. And I think that my biggest accomplishment, I am gonna go I think it's my growth as a human being. I think that my growth as a human being has been my biggest accomplishment. And I think out of all the mistakes that I've had, some trauma, some suffering, some good times, some bad times, I think I've always been able to say, okay, what can I learn from this? And then what if this thing is trying to teach me something? And how do I ensure that this never happens again to myself or to other people? I think that that general pursuit of knowledge and that growth mindset is something that I'm really proud of. I'm really thankful for, and I thank my parents for instilling that in me. I think the world and God and Jesus Christ for always taking care of me at the right times when I've called to them for help, and my family members that have passed. I think very much so. I've stared at the sky in moments, cursing life or the universe, whatever, in anger, because I've been frustrated about things not working out, or wondering why I was in certain situations. And whatever ethereal knowledge or whatever ethereal power has taken care of me and has brought me down the right avenues and has given me the tools to seek knowledge and to empower not only myself, but other people in ways that I'm really grateful for. I think that's my biggest accomplishment, is being able to go in and out of all the bad things, whether it works out or it doesn't. I think I just continue to move forward. And that to me is a very big accomplishment. And I have a lot of other people around me who are like that, right? They just keep going. They'll take hit after hit after hit. And Rocky Balboa has a famous quote, right? He says, "Doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, you just need to get up one more time than you got knocked down, and that's how you win." So for me, it's about having that mindset. It's not just being Irish and Italian. It's not just being from Boston. It's not just being a stubborn motherfucker. It's about literally taking each win with each loss and saying, okay, what can I learn from this? And then adopting the mindset of I never lose, I either win or I learn. And when you're able to do that, it's very easy to just keep going. Yes, you're tired. Yes, your battery might be drained, but holy shit, man, just put one step in front of the other, and at some point you're gonna get that energy back. Okay. So don't ever give up. Don't just mail it in. Understand that you are capable of so much in this world. And whatever you think that your biggest accomplishment is, just know that you can achieve so much more in the future, and you're going to achieve so much more in the future. It doesn't stop here. Okay. Question number 3. Let's jump into that. That was a short answer too. Question number 3 is, if I could do any job in the world and money doesn't matter, what would it be? It would be to do what Anthony Bourdain did, but I would do it my way. I would do it adventure style. I would travel, I would meet, I would eat, I would cook, I would drink, I would dance. I would, sail, I would work, I would just want to have all the different life experiences all around the world. I would just country hop, and I would just write books, and I would create content, and I would share stories, and I would get to know people, and I would listen, and I would sit down for meals with them and break bread with them and drink wine with them and work with them, because I want to see how other people live. I think it's deep down, I think we're all anthropologists in a way. But I think that Anthony Bourdain's, no reservations, or all the shows that he did, where he just goes from place to place to place, telling their story, seeing how they live, understanding their culture, and becoming part of their culture for a time. I think that's a magical thing. And for me, I would love to do that. I would love to do that. I don't think there's a cooler way to exist on the planet other than to learn about others and tell their stories. And I think that that show was very inspirational and transformational for me as a kid. I was lucky enough to see him speak at South by Southwest, and he was one of the most kind, understanding, empathetic individuals because of his travels and because of what he's seen. And he was a heroin addict, and he was a cook in New York City for a long time. He wrote Kitchen Confidential, which is a great book. And I think that when you can really just kind of understand all the different walks of life, I think your pace of life naturally changes. And I think that your scope of what's actually going on in the world and how to read people, how to read situations, I think it brings you out of your head and into life a little bit more. And I think that is something that we should all strive to do, because I think society has a very, very indicative way of pigeonholing us into thinking that our lives need to be stressful, and then this is all we have. And if we're not making money, we're worthless. And if you can't take these vacations, and if you can't work, 60 hours a week or make $1 million or have the best body on the planet, then you're worthless. And I think that we need to just get out there more and see how other people live, because other countries do things much better than we do here as Americans. Our way of life is not superior all the time. And I would say that that was a very important thing to see, especially in that show. If you've ever watched No Reservations, people just live differently, and they live often with less, and their lives have much more meaning. So that to me, I would be very fascinated in just traveling the world, getting to know people, listening to people, telling their stories. And hopefully I can accomplish that dream at some point. So that's all I have here for episode number 71. I really appreciate you guys listening. If you want to submit questions or become a guest, reach out to me, threequestionspodcast@gmail.com. And of course, head to ckcollective.co if you want to set up sessions, if you want to grow your business, build a Shopify store, Etsy store, whatever it is, I will show you the way. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one. And thank you very much for talking and chatting and listening. And don't forget to leave a review, like, subscribe, comment, and more. See you guys in the next one. Peace.